We have another 20 seconds. Although I may have misread the minute.
Yeah.
I think you misread.
All right, you better start before the
All right.
6:01.
Oh, okay. I'm going to call the meeting to order at either 6 o'clock or 6:01. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
Can I ask, one, to make sure that you are about this far, your microphone, so it's kind of hard to understand sometimes when you see that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next item is the approval of the agenda, which has been circulated. Are there any suggested changes to the agenda tonight?
No,
Hearing none, the agenda is approved as submitted. The next item is approval of the minutes from May 13th, 2025. Are there any suggested changes to the minutes that have been circulated? Beth, you have changes?
I thought I did, but I don't. I thought I had a change, but
Okay.
I don't.
Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is public comment on non-agenda items. With all these people in the audience, some of you must be here to talk to us about other things. Who wants to start? All right, hearing none, we'll assume that you're all here on agenda items. The next is action items. Item number 1, petition 25 ZBA 004. The applicant is Fireside Home Construction. And it's a request for variance from section 707-2, the required front yard setback. Are there any conflicts of interest or ex parte contact that need to be reported? When I was at the property, I did speak briefly with the next door neighbor who showed me around, but he didn't influence my decision-making in any way and made no attempt to do so. So I don't think we have any conflicts that need to be dealt with or ex parte contacts. Moving along, we're on staff presentation.
Good evening, Zoning Board of Appeals members. My name is Fletcher Ryer, the Director of Planning and Zoning for Dexter Township. Today we have before you a variance request from section 7.072, required front yard setback for the property located at 8700 Dexter Town Hall Road. The property in question is zoned Lake Residential and is approximately 0.4 acres in size. All of the surrounding land uses are also zoned Lake Residential. And just across the street is Silver Lake. On the 27th of March, Fireside Home Construction submitted a major zoning permit to the Township Planning Department for a construction of a new 2,662 square foot single family residence. Upon my review, it was determined that the proposed structure encroaches into the required front yard setback and does not remain within the original footprint of the existing building. Thus requiring the need for a setback variance. The current property consists of a single story, 1,900 square foot, 1930s era single family home and a detached 1,500 square foot garage. The applicant would demolish the single family home and construct the new home in the packet if they obtain this variance tonight. The proposed construction would place the closest point of the new residence, that that dining room projection, approximately 59 feet 6 inches and 57 feet 2 inches from the road right of way. However, the front porch projection would sit on that 50-foot setback line with approximately a 2-foot projection beyond that. If the ZBA were to grant the 30-foot variance tonight, you wouldn't need to give additional relief for the deck projecting 2 more feet into that setback. You're allowed up to 5 feet projections into the front yard. There are a handful of nonconformities on the current site that I'd like to go over with the ZBA. The current minimum area for lots served by offsite septic or sewer is 0.5 acres. The subject site is roughly 0.4 acres, making it a non-conforming lot size. The current front yard setback requirement for Dexter Town Hall Road is 80 feet. And the existing home encroaches into that by roughly 30 feet. The dwelling was legally established in the 1930s before the adoption of the current zoning ordinance, so it qualifies as a legally non-conforming structure. And lastly, there is a shared driveway established prior to the adoption of the current ordinance. The property owner shares a driveway with the property owner to the south. As it stands, there's no change proposed to that shared driveway. It's just structural changes with the demolition and construction of the new home. Moving on the site coverage, the existing site coverage is approximately 32% with both buildings and impervious surfaces. With the new proposed site coverage, it would drop that coverage down to 30%. Moving on to some additional department comments. There is an existing outbuilding to the rear in the rear property. That building was granted a variance back in 1999 for a floor area ratio variance. There's no proposal to remove that building. That building would remain as is. The proposed plans have already been reviewed and approved by the Multi-Lake Water and Sewer Authority. If the variance is approved, the applicant would still need to obtain a major zoning permit for the demolition and construction, as well as a building permit and applicable trade permits. Since the applicant's proposing the construction of a home outside the original footprint, even though the site coverage is less than what's there currently, I would suggest that the ZBA condition approval on a stormwater management plan, since the current zoning ordinance requires that for all new constructions. And lastly, I would suggest that the ZBA, if they approve this variance tonight, require the applicant obtain all required permits and approvals prior to demolition and construction. Both the applicant and the property owners are in attendance today. I'd like to have them present their project when the time is right. But do the ZBA members have any questions for me on the report?
I do. In the project narrative, one of the sentences, it's additionally, the proposal includes an increase in height above the non-conforming portion of the structure. Is there not need for a variance then for that, or?
Right, so since the building that's being proposed is outside of the original footprint and a second story, that means they need to go through this process. If they were to demolish the existing home and replace it exactly in the footprint without a second story, they could do so without coming before the board today.
Okay.
I have a brief question. When you say the existing structure encroaches into the front yard setback by approximately 30 feet, did that include the deck or not include the deck?
That was the front wall of the
Of the
building.
building?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to verify that. And then also it mentions the proposed construction would place the closest point of the new residence between 59 feet 6 inches and 57 feet 2 inches from the road right away. You're talking one with the overhang, that latter one with the overhang and the former one without. Okay, thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Are there any other questions by CBA members for Fletcher? Then I think we are ready for the petitioner presentation.
Make sure the green line is on. But, yeah.
Yeah, it's on.
Fresh batteries, that's all.
All right, cool. Hi, I'm Jake LePan with Fireside Home Construction. I'm the president of Fireside. We're a custom home builder and a remodeling company. And we would like to build a new house at Dexter Town Hall Road over here, working with lovely homeowners, Kurt and Naomi Young. Basically, we started doing a big remodel project on the existing house, and we discovered that basically the cottage had been added onto 3 or 4 times, and each time they added onto it, it looked like it was a homeowner summer or wintertime weekend lake project. It currently, 2/3 of the house currently does not have a legitimate foundation underneath of it. It's literally just concrete blocks stacked right on the grass, so that's not a proper way to build a house. The original part of the house, I guess there was either an old bowling alley in Dexter or Pinckney that burned down. And the original floor of the house was a bunch of bowling alley planks that was spanning between some just 2x6s on some old clay farm tiles. So the house is not currently suitable to live in from a current condition standpoint. So once we kind of reached that point, it became this is a tear down and we need to design a new house. So the homeowners contacted an architect and started designing this nice new Victorian style house that you have in your design packet there. And then we assumed that the front yard setbacks was off of the Lake Residential setbacks. We did not know Dexter Town Hall had its own special front yard setback distance. So, which effectively pushes the house back to be behind all the neighbors' houses, like into the backyard. Because of the grade that is back there, I'm assuming you guys all had a chance to stop by there and look at the existing conditions. So you can see it does have a walkout scenario where the back does taper off. Well, once you do get into that backyard back there, you dig down about 2 feet, you hit the water table. So if we were to have to push the house back that additional 30 feet and be behind the neighbors and be into the water, then we'd be getting into having to do a very expensive helical pier system and everything like that, have no basement, have no walkout or anything like that, and basically have our house behind all the other houses and in the low recess part, not up where all the streetscape in the neighborhood is at around that wall there or that road there. So that's pretty much, in addition to it costing a lot more to have to go all the way back there and be behind everybody else's house. Now, everything that we would have had planned for would have been basement space would now be 3 stories of space above grade. So that's kind of like not as appealing from a neighborhood looking at standpoint, seeing a 3-story house sticking out of the ground. So if we're able to stay up on kind of up near where we want to be, the new house is proposed to be further back than where the original house is. If you look at this little diagram that I provided here on this guy here, you can see that the shaded area is the existing house where it is as is now. And then the crosshatched area shows where the new house would be. So we are further back. For the actual house part is quite a bit further back, and our actual deck is behind the proposed 50-foot setback line. And then, you can see like our footprint and everything is actually smaller than where the original or existing house is. And you can see we are in line with the house to the south and actually further back than the house to the north. So, so that's what we're looking to do from a zoning standpoint with obtaining that 50-foot setback variance. So we can kind of stay in line with the neighbors and not be behind everybody and not have to have a 3-story house sticking out of the ground. Do you have any questions?
Any questions by members of the ZBA? Yes, Pam.
Just to be clear, because I know that a good portion of this rests on the fact that it's felt that the soil back in the back portion of the lot is poor, difficult to build on, and you hit the water table after 2 feet. I mean, is that underneath where the existing house is now? Where are you seeing that relative to where you're trying to build?
Yeah, so from the lake to where the current house is at, there's about a 13-foot of elevation change
Yeah.
to get to that point, and then it stays flat, then it really falls off to the back.
Okay,
So that water table, when we did soil boring testing, it was about 15 feet down, kind of where it's at now. So we'll be able to build a regular foundation, stay out of the water,
okay,
and have good soil bearing conditions.
Okay.
Like this, because it's sand, it's like a sand berm
Yeah.
that builds up there. So we'll still have to do a little bit of an enhanced footing design to where the footings are a little bit wider to get more bearing capacity.
yeah,
But we won't have to do like a double the cost foundation system with helical piers and all this and have no basement basically.
okay. And you have all of that recorded somewhere?
Oh, yeah, we have
Okay.
soil testing and everything.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Apparently not. Thank you very much.
Okay.
We are then ready for the public hearing. Do we have any letters that we need to read into the record?
I received no correspondence after the mailers went out in the newspaper notice.
Okay, then we need comments from anybody here who'd like to say anything to us about this project. If you'd like to speak, feel free to stand up and tell us things. If you're just here to watch, just watch.
Could we see a copy of the floor plan of the?
I'm sorry, sir, you need to come up to the microphone to talk. This is a public meeting and we have to watch it online.
My name is Mark Brandt. I live at 8754 Glenwood Drive. Could we see the existing plot of the property to where the new house is, to where the old house is?
Well, you can, although that's not really the purpose of this meeting, but I'd be
Well,
happy to
the setback.
share this with you if you'd like.
Yeah, the setback from the road to the front of the house, how many feet is that now?
Here's your drawing and take a quick look at it. What this drawing shows is the old house and the new house and their respective distances.
Property, is this the street right there?
This is the property line and the distance to the street is going to be. But this is the house to the south, this is the house to the north. And
It's basically the same.
yeah,
Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
all right. Anybody else with any comments this evening from the public? All right, then we can move on to our deliberations and standard of review. Anybody have any thoughts?
I have a thought. I think this is all coming more into compliance, it seems, and so that's one of the goals of meeting with the, section 24. So,
I concur with that thought, and I also believe that if you were to require them to push their house back, it would, not only would it be difficult in terms of construction, but there is a certain character in that neighborhood of having all of those homes kind of lined up along the water like that. And I would be, not hate, but it would be unfortunate to ruin that character by making everybody push back into basically the water tables back there. So I think I'd like to see it as it is.
Any other thoughts?
I would always like to commend the owners for actually designing a house specific to its site. It's not necessarily a house that's been copied from somewhere else and just plunked in. You can tell the care was taken to make it fit within the challenges of our lake residential districts and the lots in specific because of these setbacks, the overlapping setbacks we have. So I think it works well. The positioning on the hill, it all works. And again, it works with the neighborhood. I did notice it's going to be the first with that amount of height to it. Most of the others are still down kind of in that one story. But realistically, as that road front develops and that street develops, they will, I'm gonna guess, all want to kind of develop second stories, and it sets a scale that I think works adjacent to that lake.
I also think that the speed limit there is what, 25 miles an hour, so it's very slow, and as opposed to the rest of Dexter Town Hall where it's, 50, 55 miles an hour. So I think that section right there is special from that respect.
For
Doesn't
sure.
seem to pose a safety problem.
Well then, are we ready to apply our standards?
I don't need to walk up there, I'm loud enough. When is this building?
I'm sorry, you must walk up here.
My tree, oh, I know here. And you did not sign in, you came in, so I need.
Yes, because you had already started and I didn't want to interrupt. My question is, when is
Can
this
you give us your
building?
name?
Lori Hawker,
And address.
8708 Dexter Town Hall, right next door
Thank you.
to this monstrosity of a building that we have looked at now for 5 years. 5 years since Mr. Campbell, bless his heart, passed away. And yards aren't taken care of. The shrubbery and everything is awful. Ants and things all around the yard that, of course, coming into our yard. So my question is, we're going to have a block, obviously, with this tall Victorian style home, which I don't get. Maybe England would be a better spot for that. But when is this supposed to start? Is this going to ruin our summer when we're out there? Is there going to be tear downs? We've gone through many, many weekends over the last 4 summers of equipment coming in and blocks and dumpsters sitting in the driveway, sitting in the yard. And then they all go away and are taken aback, but still disrupting us that still work and only have weekends at the cottage. That we've been there since 1971.
So is that a question for the zoning board of appeals?
I don't know when the building's supposed to start, so I would certainly hope, now that you guys have all thought this is a dandy idea, when is the building going to start? Is it going to be this summer?
The applicant, if their variance is granted, must commence some kind of activity within a year or take steps to hold on to their position and extend the variance. If they don't, they'll lose the variance if they don't act within a year. It is at their discretion, though, when within that year would be most convenient for them and their contractor to do the work.
So basically, we don't know when it's going to start. We're just hoping for some of us that are there for the 3 months, it's not going on during the weekends of June, July, and August. Just sure a few other people. We've all been out there for many, many years. It's definitely overbuilt for the area. I know you said, sir, you think it's a great idea. There are a lot of areas on the other side of the lake with more acreage that people have built bigger homes just in the last few years. And I'm talking 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 square foot homes. This seems like it should be something not squared right in where we might be blocked from our kitchen window looking out because it's so tall. And I'm worried about access with children walking across the road. We have to cross over Dexter Town Hall to get to the docks and our boats. And we're worried about visibility because we have relatives on the other side. We have grandkids. We have little nieces and nephews that want to run and see each other. And we're worried about our actual blockage as far as being able to see all of that happen, which we've been able to all of these years.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else that would like to address the ZBA before we vote on this? All right. Still looking for the description. Fletcher,
Property description.
where exactly is our current description of the requested
It's right
variance
here.
that we're gonna be granted? It's right there. Okay, and you're all set with it. Okay.
I am.
That's all I wondered. I didn't see it.
I do have one more question though, if I could.
Please.
I'm sorry. So the requested is 50, but then we mentioned 30. And there is that issue there that we haven't discussed, and as I'm probably gonna be making the motion, just want to make sure we give them what they need. Was 50 the only one noticed? I'm sorry, I should know that. It just says the variance is that much.
Variances.
It just, it just references the section for the variance,
Well,
not the
that's what
amount.
I was getting at, is that
Yeah.
there isn't a specific statement about the amount of variance.
So the proposed variance is 30 feet. They're requesting a 50-foot setback, but
Yeah.
they are encroaching into that setback 30 feet. So the variance that the ZBA would grant is a 30-foot front yard setback variance, or 30-foot variance
So
to
it
the
would
front
be
yard
Well,
setback.
30
50-foot setback.
Yes.
feet to allow it.
And
Okay.
Variance versus
I
setback.
appreciate you bringing that up. Moving forward at the next meeting, I'll write out a statement how I think it
That's
should
okay.
be
So
stated. Yeah.
they're looking for a 30-foot variance, so is how I would say it. That would give them sufficient space.
30-foot variance for a 50-foot front yard setback.
Okay.
Okay. Now that we've got that sorted out, get back to my standards of.
On the actual, that front yard, there, what is the distance from the actual property line to the road? Is it like 20, 30 feet from the actual road to the?
Not the right of way.
So it's a 66-foot right of way. And then you would be 50 feet back from that. Correct. So 33 from the center of the road.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's go through the standards. Number one, practical difficulty, 29.06C1. The strict application of the terms of this ordinance would constitute a practical difficulty. Kathy,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes as well. Making them move this house further back, given the fact that all the other adjoining properties are approximately 50 feet from the road, seems to me to be unnecessary and would create a practical difficulty. 2, physical conditions, 2906C2. The practical difficulty is due to some physical condition peculiar to the property involved. Kathy,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes, and that's my understanding in part due to the relatively high water table that's present in the backyard.
okay. Sean,
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Chair votes yes as well. 3, self-created, 2906C3. The practical difficulty is not self-created.
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Clearly, these folks are responsible for the shape and condition of this lot. 4, reasonable amount necessary, 2906C4. The variance is a reasonable amount necessary to mitigate the damage, to mitigate the practical difficulty.
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Chair votes yes as well. All they're asking is to rebuild at the same location. And because they're not entirely within the original footprint, they need approval to go higher, and that's what we're doing. 5, Public Health, Safety and Welfare. 2906C5. Approval of the variance will not be injurious to the public health, safety and welfare.
Yes,
Uh,
Yes, for the reasons Kathy noted before.
John,
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Chair votes yes as well. 6, adverse effect. 2906C6, approval of the variance will not affect the use of adjacent properties or the area in a substantially adverse manner. Kathy?
yes, I agree with that.
Beth?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
It sounds to me like it's going to be a lot better than the bowling alley house. 7, intent of the, did I vote? Yes, I vote yes.
Okay.
7, intent of the ordinance, that, does the requested variance meet the following standard? Approval of the variance is consistent with the intent and purposes of this ordinance. Kathy?
Yes, it fits right into what section 24 says. So, yes.
Beth?
Yes, I think it's an improvement over the structure that's presently there.
And Sean?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes as well. I think we're ready for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion.
Please.
Oh, wait a minute. Before we do that, may we talk conditions for a moment?
Well, I like the conditions
Oh, yeah.
that
Ledger.
were proposed
Fletcher
by the
proposed.
director of the planning and zoning.
Perfect.
Does anybody disagree with those conditions?
I have a question as to why we need a condition that someone complies with the law if the laws that they have to comply with are laws that he has to comply with. If if he's required to get a stormwater management plan by some part of the ordinance, then that part of the ordinance will require him to get a stormwater management. Why do we have to make it part of the variance?
I think that's a good question for Fletcher. Is there administratively a benefit to mentioning it in the variance? Because somebody else in the process may or may not realize that this is necessary.
I think it's always a good idea to overemphasize the following
Mhm.
requirements once a variance is granted. Because like you said, some applicants may forget that there's next steps after this, and they take getting a variance as the last step in the
Well,
process.
but I guess to support Peter's question, that still wouldn't allow them to proceed with getting, for example, a CO without
Mm.
doing the stormwater work. Is that not correct?
You're correct.
Okay,
Yep.
so I think we should throw it in this time, but be prepared to talk about this as
Yeah.
how should we proceed in the future?
Yeah, and I'll tell you additionally why I don't like it is we might actually end up imposing something that by the time they do whatever they're gonna do, or the law is amended, the law is changed, there could be a variety of things that happen. And we're imposing a condition that's not within our expertise or what we normally do, but we can save that for another day. I got no trouble putting it in there, but I don't think it's a good idea.
Okay,
Well,
I think that's.
Peter
worth
convinced
considering.
me, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna include the condition.
Oh, okay, apparently
We're
it's
all
coming out
okay.
right now.
Yeah, you've convinced me. I am gonna recognize the nonconformities though, as we have done in the past.
Okay,
Okay. All right, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance for petition number 25 ZBA 004 for the property located at 8700 Dexter Town Hall Road, Pinckney, Michigan, 48169, parcel ID D0403380007 for the requested variance from section 7.072 for the required front yard setback for a 30-foot variance for a 50-foot front yard setback. Recognizing the nonconformities, the applicant being Fireside Home Construction LLC.
I'll second the motion.
Oh, wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
Recognizing the nonconformities. Go ahead.
No, I will second the motion.
All right. We'll have a vote on this, Kathy,
Yes. Aye.
Beth,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Chair votes yes as well. Congratulations. You've got your variance. As I mentioned earlier, you got to do something on this in a year or it goes away. And I know your builder will be interested in maybe doing something in a year. Okay? And that concludes that portion of this meeting. We're ready to move on to public comment, I think, on non-agenda items. So if anybody came in and now wants to talk to us about something else, nobody does. In that case, we're ready for our concerns, right, folks? Where's my list of concerns? Concerns by the ZBA members. We'll start with you, ma'am. What are your concerns?
I have none. Thank you very much.
Okay. Fletcher, concerns?
No concerns, just be on the lookout for a formal cancellation notice for the July meeting.
Okay.
So we're not meeting.
Correct.
You had originally thought we might though, hadn't you?
Yes, with speaking with a resident, I was really convinced that
That was
would
gonna
be an
happen, but-
application.
Yeah, okay. All right. Very good. Any of the board members have anything other than Peter and Beth want to change the way we attach conditions?
We'll see. But I would like to thank the applicant for putting together a reasonably coherent explanation of why it would be difficult to go back on the lot in this situation.
Yep.
And so that was very helpful to have in the record and understand that you have records to substantiate that. So I appreciate that.
Very good. Any other concerns?
The running theme of lakefront property where people just add on and do things and over time. And when you get these older houses, you just go in there. And I had someone tell me one time we were trying to get the plans done for our house and they said, well, you have a moron house. I said, what are you talking about? They said, well, they just add a little more on, add a little more on, a little more on. So you got a moron house. But I don't know anyone who had a bowling alley. It's kind of cool.
Well, very good. We've worked through our entire agenda and then for that reason, I'm going to declare us adjourned.
All right.
Thank you. The moron house, that's awesome.
I mean, you know, they
Peter,
did things
good
with
thing.
nobody looking.
I was pumping the exact same. I mean, it's one of my.
In our little house,